Hi, and welcome back to Scholastically Natalie, where we talk about books, writing, D&D, and occasionally games. Today we're continuing on our Adultolescence by Gabbie Hanna streak with part 2. This is probably going to be just as long as the last one. Analyzing poetry really does make my heart very happy. Analyzing writing, honestly, just any writing. Editing it makes me happy. Okay, so we're back again with Adultolescence. If you missed my last video about Adultolescence, I decided to buy this book of poetry after watching a lot of videos which said it was very bad, and I was like, hey, I wonder if this book is just as bad as they portray it as, because it's hard to believe that some of that poetry is actually real. And sadly, I can confirm that yes, it is real. However, Gabbie Hanna did have some good ones, so I would like to take a more comprehensive look at the entire book and show you both the good, the bad, the meh, and some questionable ones. So, we're on part 2 of 4. This is a 248-page book that's divided into 4 parts of 62 pages. We are on part 2, so woohoo! Every poem is sorted by bad, meh, suggested edits, like, and questionable. We're not going to go through every single one. I've selected my best examples from each of these. And edits will be mentioned if we get to them. If we don't get to them, like, if that poem hasn't been one that I've selected, I don't need to talk about them more. There is also an extra bonus, which is memorable writing. Happily, this section does have more than one, so we get to look at more than one cool poems today, or at least more than one cool lines in a poem. So, let's begin. We are going to start with The Bad, which in this case was 27 out of 62 pages, which was 44%, so quite a bit larger than last time. There were quite a few that were honestly just fluff pieces. I don't understand why they were written, and they seem to just be used to take up space on a page. The next ones are literally just tweets. This feels like you went back through your drafts, grabbed whatever inane stuff you had written down, and went, yes, this is good. And then my next section is called Why, which is, why were these written? I don't understand why they're here. At the very least, for what purpose were they created? Because I see none. So, we're going to start with Organs, which is on page 63. A man told me that in the hour before he proposed to his wife, she kept complaining that she had to pee. They couldn't find a restroom, so he popped the question anyway. She said yes. She didn't realize until hours later, after they had dinner and called everyone in their contacts to share the news, that she never did pee. May your heart always be fuller than your bladder. Why? I don't understand the purpose of this poem, I guess. I feel like we could say something with this, I guess, about mind over matter or emotions over bodily functions, but either way, why? I don't even have anything better than that. I just want to know why. Please tell me. So next up, we have Tease on page 77. If a guy doesn't answer your text for 3 years, does that mean he's not interested, or is he just playing hard to get? Whatever. I don't mind taking it slow. 1, this is a tweet. But 2, I was just kind of like, reversing female tropes on a man isn't always cute. Because this is often the portrayal of guys with girls who've ghosted them. They're like, oh, they might still text me back. They might still love me. Or at least, I just remember scenes from Friends where they never call people back and all the guys are like, oh, maybe she was into me. But either way, it's not cute. I mean, it just gives off a stalkery vibe. Personally, I don't find it entertaining. Maybe I just don't understand the humor, but personally, again, potentially stalking people, not very funny to me. Next, we have Gone on page 84. It says, I don't fear death. I fear the end of all my thoughts and dreams that will disappear into nothingness when I die. My first reaction was that, oh, this is another tweet. And then secondly, it comes off kind of pompous, and I mean, like, really, we don't fear death, but we fear all these things that will disappear when I die. It's the same thing. You fear death. You fear death because it will end all of your thoughts and dreams. So, I don't think the poem is telling the truth, mostly because it's redundant. Okay, and then next we have Fate on page 89. I forgot to put the number on there. If opposites attract, my soulmate is going to be funny, easygoing, charming, attractive, exciting, adventurous, affectionate, amiable, courageous, intelligent, rational, affable, brave, humble, neat, well-tempered, patient, polite, confident, sensible, emotionally stable, and just an all-around gem. Lucky me. I literally just wrote, I really hate how down on yourself this book is. Like, self-deprecating humor gets old. As somebody who used to be extremely self-deprecating because I had no self-esteem, and I continue to have pretty low self-esteem, but now I've realized that when I keep saying things, it just makes them truer in my head, and I have actually felt a lot better about myself because I've stopped using self-deprecating humor out loud. So 1, see a therapist, and 2, please stop writing poems about feeling bad about yourself. And I mean, I don't think it's bad to bring to light the fact that people have these feelings, because people have these feelings. It's natural. My biggest issue is that since this book doesn't have a theme, and it's not really telling a story, these random, suddenly dark or sad or depressing poems are random, and they don't feel intentional. They don't feel like they're there for a purpose, and so then you're just reaffirming, it's really funny to talk bad about yourself. And so for me, there doesn't seem to be a purpose. Okay, so then my next marked poem is, again, one I was going to take a picture of, but then I didn't, because it's another one of those dialogue poems that I'm starting to low-key hate. It's called Please. It's on pages 90 to 91, and on the left is a man covering his face with his hands, and on the right is a woman who honestly just looks a lot like Liza Koshy. I wrote that underneath her head. I was just like, why does she look like Liza Koshy? And so he says, please, babe, I can't live without you, babe. She says, I know, babe, but I wish you'd drop dead, babe. I literally just wrote ugh. Because ugh. It's not funny, it's not cute, it's more suicidal ideation that gives us nothing besides, I wish the person I was dating was dead. Oh, so funny. No. So, then we have irony on page 92. 98% of your body is made up of H2O. 98%. Stay hydrated or else you'll die of thirst. But did you know you can also die from drinking too much water? It's called water intoxication. Google it, bitch. This thing that you literally need to keep you alive will literally kill you. 98% of you will turn on you in a second. Water is the reason I have trust issues. I feel like water is the reason I have trust issues might have been a draft of a tweet, and then we expanded that into a poem. Again, I kind of understand what we're saying about backstabbing, and I understand what we're saying about irony, and the delicate balance that is life, but what are we learning from this? What are we gaining from this? What purpose does this poem have? What are you expressing? Again, I feel like this is just something random that we're thinking about. And I feel like this could be a poem that I could forgive in a better book of poetry. If this poem wasn't surrounded by just oodles more poems that are more disappointing, I think this one would be fine as kind of like a dud. But since it is just surrounded by more disappointing poems, it just is even more disappointing. I don't have a better way to explain that, I'm sorry. And next we have Yum on page 104. If the world ended tomorrow, what would you do today? I'd hurriedly make my way to an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a tweet. It's just a tweet that happens to rhyme. And literally this just... it just needs to go on r/I'm 14 and this is deep. Like, I really feel like when, we were back in middle school and like all the popular skinny girls were like, I just love food so much, and like it's so quirky because all these other girls won't eat in front of guys, and like I'm so cool and brave for eating in front of them and eating so much. And it's like once you get past that stage and you move into like college, you're just like, that's not That's not a personality trait, man. Liking to eat food is not weird. In fact, a lot of the world likes to eat food, unless, of course, you have an eating disorder or you just don't have any feelings toward food in general. I'd prefer to live like a plant if I could. Well, maybe not a plant, more like moss, because I don't want to go outside either. I'd rather live like mold. I'd rather live like mold. No sunlight and some water. Oh, then the next one is another dialogue thing, which has changed from two people talking to each other, at least. It's on pages 106 and 107, and it's called Bully. And so on the left side, we have three people pointing at another person on the right-hand page who has their hands on their hips, like Superman. So on the left, we have, you bought your coat from a thrift store? How embarrassing. Your dad is a garbage man? How embarrassing. You get free lunch at school? How embarrassing. And then the person replies, you actually believe that this shit matters? How embarrassing. Which is a nice thought. I think it's a great message. But I wouldn't call this a poem. This is more like a page you could put in a coloring book. Or like sell on a poster. Well, maybe not on a poster, because yeah, I don't know what you could do with it. It's just not poetry. At least for me, we're again making a surface level statement. Why do the people believe that this matters? Why does our society think having a coat from a thrift store, having a dad as a garbage man, or getting free lunch at school is embarrassing? And why is it not embarrassing? We could write a poem about that instead of just filling up 2 pages with surface level observations. I also wrote on this one that this could go under r/I'm 14 and this is deep. I kind of hit a weird spot during this one. And then we have stats on page 108. There are emojis in the book. I couldn't find them, and I really didn't want to spend any more time searching for them than I already did. I honestly didn't realize that they were even at the end of these sentences before I started typing it up. So I will say these emojis are not 100% accurate. But I also don't really know what they add here, so whatever. So, it says, here are some facts about love. 2% of marriages are high school sweethearts. 20% of couples meet online. And 17% of them get married. 70% of married people cheat. And 50% of marriages end in divorce. But none of this matters, because 100% of relationships end in death. Again, with the suicidal ideation. Why? Just... What is the point? Is that supposed to be funny? Am I supposed to laugh? Because, I didn't laugh. I didn't think it was funny. Also, just because, I have parents who are married, and I don't like thinking about them dying, shockingly enough. So this just made me sad. Next, we have geography on page 117. My heart is in Pittsburgh. My brain is in California. My fingers are in your hair. So let's cut the small talk. Charming. What's the point? Why was this poem written? Also, a lot of the bad poems that I marked were more of the advice paragraphs. Just wanted to let you know. I decided that having one as an example was enough because I got increasingly more frustrated with them as we went along. Oh, yes. I thought that this one was in the next section for some reason. So, I do have one more poem that I don't think I typed up because I missed it, but it's on page 121 and it's called Deserved. I wish the Oscars had a Best Extra category. I would love to see Jessica Lowry take home the award for her outstanding performance as Girl in Lobby number 3. Her ability to fill space and pantomime conversation is unprecedented, and she should be celebrated. I think it's a fun observation. I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of a good statement of hey, pay attention to the people in the background. The main character isn't always the most important one, yada yada. But at the same time, what is the point of this poem? Because I don't know if it's that deep. I feel like I'm getting too deep for these poems, and I don't like feeling like that, so we're going to move on. And so next we have The Meh, which is 10 out of 16 and 16%. So, a little bit... I can't remember if that's less or more than I only filmed that video at the beginning of this week. Somebody save me. So the first one we're going to go with is called Quotes. I'm not gonna lie. Someone who's about to lie. I hate drama, a very dramatic person. I don't care what people think, an insecure individual. I'm not like other girls, a particularly predictable girl. I would like a snack. Me. I'm not like other girls. I'm so quirky. I love food. I don't know why we got so many of those poems in this book. It was literally I just read it and rolled my eyes, which is kind of embarrassing to admit, but it does nothing. I don't know why we always have to be like, oh, I'm so different. I'm not like other girls. Everybody is similar. Everybody has hair and blood and a body most of the time. Sometimes we don't have bodies and we are just ghosts. But yeah, of course your personality is different. Yes, everybody's personality is different. Some people don't even have a personality. And instead they like food. I'm sorry, that was really mean. I apologize. I've seen so much of that whole, I'm not like other, it's basically, I'm not like the stereotype of the girls who refuse to eat food because it'll make them fat. It's literally that meme. It's I'm not like other girls who go out to a pizza place and order salads. I order 2 extra large pizzas just for myself. I've seen so many memes like that. I don't find that funny. It's so stereotypical. So I don't know. For me, it's not impressive to find people writing about that unless they are doing something interesting with that trope, and nothing interesting is being done with that trope. Okay, next is Home. Sally filed for divorce, much to Tommy's horror. She abandoned their apartment, but still lived in every corner. As he looked at his surroundings, our boy Tom took inventory. Each knick-knack and nook and cranny told a different story. So Tommy decided frantically he couldn't bear the sheets that he shared with his dear Sally, so he slept out on the streets. It's not quite the perfect life that Tommy had envisioned. In place of his ex-wife, he finds his solace with the pigeons. He keeps all his belongings in a stolen shopping cart, and the nightly chill of pavement soothes his aching, broken heart. He's often hungry, often scared, but what else can he do? It's better to be homeless than have no one to come home to. That last line felt awkward to say. Okay, so number 1, I felt the ending was kind of strange, and honestly, I like AB rhyme scheme in general. I think it's fun. And I liked a lot of this poem, I'm gonna be honest. I found a lot of it very good. I liked the chill of pavement soothing his aching, broken heart. I liked him, frantically deciding he couldn't bear the sheets. I loved all of that. But then I felt like we were just making light of homelessness. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I'm slowly becoming a big SJW. We shall see. But it just felt weird to me, especially just because the last line was, it's better to be homeless than to have no one to come home to. I'm pretty sure most people would disagree with you. I would certainly rather come home to an empty apartment than live on the streets, so it just felt kind of weird and a little bit overdramatic. And then we have LA. It's pages 98 to 99, because basically it's shorter than the Tommy and Sally one, but it's split in half with a really nice drawing of raindrops falling on somebody carrying an umbrella. But I feel like it was also done that to take up pages. You're gonna miss me every time it rains, in this town that floods from lack of drains. The storms here are light and very rare, so the city streets are unprepared. But you and me, we like the water, and the eerie chill that comes thereafter. So when I'm gone and you're stuck in traffic, and all the drivers start to panic because they're paralyzed by soggy weather, you'll feel my absence more than ever. With every drip of every drop, you'll think of me and your heart will stop. Even if only thrice a year, you'll hear me purring in your ear. Like the momentary strike of lightning, you'll close your eyes and see me dancing. I'll be the ghost you don't believe in. I'll drench your mind in ways not even your windshield wipers can sweep clean. Every time it rains, you'll remember me. I actually like a lot of this. I have to say that I feel like, yes, we might have put some non-rhyming things in there to stop having such a childish rhyme scheme, but then it feels a little bit awkward to read. And most of the time I liked it mostly. I didn't like the part where it says, so when I'm gone and you're stuck in traffic, to the you'll feel my absence more than ever. I don't like either of those. But I really like the lines, but you and me, we like the water and the eerie chill that comes thereafter. I liked that. And then I also liked the lines, with every drip of every drop, you'll think of me and your heart will stop. I liked that one too. And I also liked the, I'll be the ghost you don't believe in. I liked all of those lines. They were very nice. And then I had an edit, because the line that says, like the momentary strike of lightning, it felt a little strange to me. And then I realized, because we used the word the, which means a singular strike of lightning, which generally isn't what happens in thunderstorms. So I put like a momentary strike of lightning. And then you also can kind of shorten the time it takes to say that line, and I think it works a lot better. Okay, so now we are on to the good. Oh, hold on, I need to flip my way back to the start of this section. There we go. I put most of them on here except like maybe one or two. So we start with Dog on page 65, which was a very short poem, but I actually liked it. I'm a wounded animal. If you corner me, I'll bite. But baby, I don't want to hurt you. I bare my teeth in fright. I love it. You say so much without having to say it. It's very nice. We get all the implications, and I wish all the other poems were like this one. Boom, bam, awesome, let's go. Arms, page 78. Your embrace was once my safety blanket, swaddled so tight and snug, encompassed in security, I could die inside your hug. Your embrace is now a straitjacket, so tight I can't move. It's holding me together, but I'll die in a padded room. 100% awesome. I love it. Is there a follow-up, please? I'd like a second poem that goes on from there. I really like that poem, though. It was really good. Okay, and then we have answer. We ask ourselves from womb to grave, what are the secrets to life? Have we created love to save ourselves from unwavering strife? Why bear the pain of childbirth just to fade and wither away? Why were we put on this earth if we aren't allowed to stay? Why do we read books and learn just to forget when we are dead? Why is it we so anxiously squirm and await that day with dread? Furthermore, who put us here, but more importantly, why? I'll live forever is insincere, but alas, we'll always try. Some will seek the fountain of youth to reverse the signs of age. Some will search for unholy truth with seances and sage. Others want the holy grail, or maybe just the quest. But all of them will surely fail and expire like the rest. That is all a myth, of course, just stories, it's all a lie. The secret to life from a reliable source is simply, just don't die. And I loved the footnote of Wikipedia being the reliable source. It legitimately made me laugh. I enjoyed this. The rhyming was nice. The references were nice. I appreciated the allusions. Thank you for giving us some more substance to this poem. I liked the questioning of life. This was a good poem. It's cheeky. It's funny by the end. I enjoyed all of it. Worry on page 114. I tried to take a nap today. Everything was great. It was dark, but not so dark that my body thought it was bedtime. It was warm, but not so warm that I had to poke my feet out. It was so unbelievably comfortable I could lie there forever. But then I remembered the alarm clock that I set. I knew I could only rest for 30 minutes, and in about 24 that repulsive honking would start. Napping is the best. Waking up from a nap is the worst. I became fixated on the idea of this cozy dreamland coming to an end. Instead of feeling the cloud-like pillow under my head, I felt the dread of the alarm inside my mind. Instead of enjoying the blanket nestled over my body, I suffered the expectation of imminent screeching looming over my thoughts. I spent so much time anticipating having to wake up that I never fell asleep. I really like this one too. I think it took a pretty relatable experience and turned it into a larger metaphor for the rest of life, and that if you keep worrying about things, you'll never get a chance to do them. And it was nice. I liked this poem. And then we have Live on page 121. Things won't get better if you're gone. You can't feel relief if you're a carcass. If it's the shadows that you're running from, remember that dead eyes only see darkness. I like it. I think it might be low-key a little bit not understanding of people with suicidal tendencies, but considering that half this book has been suicidal ideation, I really appreciate it. Sorry, I bumped that in my great energy. So yeah, the fact that we finally got something at least mildly uplifting for the finale of the like poems, it was nice. It was very nice. It made me quite happy. Okay, so now we're moving on to the questionable, which was 4 out of 62 this time and accounted for 6%. One of the topics was just the topics were questionable, and then of course we had the usual suicidal ideation. So the first one we have is flies on page 76. They told me you'd catch more flies with honey, but I don't want to catch flies. I want to kill them. I enjoyed this for the more literal interpretation and low-key the figurative, because it's kind of like, I don't want to attract people who just fall for nice words. And then of course the literal interpretation also makes it kind of weird, because then you're like murdering people. So it's a little bit questionable, but honestly I really liked this poem more than I questioned it. So I might have a little bit of reconfiguring to do. Okay, and then the one that I was most disappointed with to find here was page 109. It's called Abuse. And it says, I'm so sorry you were in the blast radius when some delicate flower had his ego shattered. Abuse is a really serious topic. I don't think it's okay to write something like this for that. I feel like it's exploitative. I feel like it's belittling. I can't claim for myself because I haven't, luckily, been in any sort of abusive relationship, but that's gross. Just me as a human reading that, yucky. And then we have 2020. It's on pages 128 to 129. He told me I should trust him. I had no reason not to. He filled me up right to the brim. Oh no, wait. I keep going past my marker. 2020 is for when we do the next section, because for some reason I literally keep forgetting where my top marker is. I started typing up 2022 and I was like, I want to stop typing things up, and luckily for me it was on the next section. I even have the questionable topics in front of me and I still forget. Okay. So next we have the memorable. Guys, the Dollhouse had some really good lines. Okay, but the memorable has 4 out of 62, 6% of these pages. So the first one we have is Dollhouse. And I liked the first 3 stanzas. A paper airplane soaring by, plaster clouds in a concrete sky, a tinkering toy box lullaby, what a pleasant place to live. Matchstick buildings line cardboard roads of blue paint, a blue paint pond filled with loads of clay fish and silicone toads, what a charming place to live. Trees and shrubs propped up with Velcro, where all the porcelain boys and girls go. Light bulbs glare on a saran wrap window, what a lovely place to live. I love that so much. But the poem continues. A magnificent mountain drawn in pencil, people mass-produced by stencil. They warned against it, but you went still. What a boring place to live. Silk petals on plastic stems, silk hair on plastic friends, silk stains and plastic bends. What a lonely place to live. Mouths are tied and lips are sewn, hands are tied and punches are thrown. Permanent marker lines are drawn. What a hostile place to live. Families held together by string, cross-stitched lives rip at the seam. Close the curtain but start the scene, what a fucked up place to live. Mommy cries at the ceramic sink, Daddy fixes a grown-up drink. Isn't it strange and funny to think this is how we choose to live? Okay, so, the next two stanzas after the ones that I like, I feel like they're kind of like fluff to extend the poem. And then the next two, it feels a bit out of place with kind of like the rhyming of the poetry. I don't know. I really liked the opening, and then as I read more, I was kind of like, I don't love this. It feels out of place, and then it's, of course, the imagery and the metaphor, like, all the world's a stage and we are but players. Not my favorite. I know that we're trying to explore, like, the choices people make and, like, the weird, like, hostile suburbanite lifestyle. Like, I realize that's what we're questioning, but it felt kind of strange to me, so I didn't like the entirety of the poem, but I really liked those first three stanzas. Okay, so then we're looking at LA, which we already talked about, the lines that I liked from there. I just forgot that I was including it in the meh. Okay, so then we have Prisoner on page 103. I love one of the stanzas. Okay. You asked a question, I have an answer. I'd speak, but liquid nitrogen has spread through my body like cancer. The room feels smaller as it fills with the quiet, and my head is a crowded room, but you can't hear the riot. There's a tinier me trapped inside of me. She's locked up in my ribcage, and I threw away the key. She's loud as hell, but she's having little luck, 'cause every time she tries to talk, I tell that bitch to shut up. You want me to talk, but I'm sitting silent. It seems like I have nothing to say, but the screaming inside is violent. I love the stanza. There's a tinier me trapped inside of me. She's locked up in my ribcage, and I threw away the key. Stunning imagery. I can't express with words how, that stanza just makes me go, yes. And this is why I have hope that Hanna can expand her writing repertoire to be so much better than the poems she wrote when she was pressured for a deadline. And like the intent of this poem, like I kind of get that it's like a piece of societal pressure that we can't say what we actually want to say, and like we're kind of stuck holding ourselves back in moments when we just want to scream our heads off. And honestly, I think it's a good thing to explore. I'd like it if this was explored more. It'd be nice. I think it's a fun topic to look at. And then I think I have one more. Yes. It is the poem called Ghost on page 124, which is the last of our segment. Listening for answers that would never be heard, I realized that silence speaks louder than words. Seeking explanation, I felt blind and deaf. I don't care that you're gone, I just hate how you left. And like, honestly, I think it's a pretty okay poem. It's not like the best thing I've ever read, but it's also not the worst thing I've ever read, and it's certainly pretty good for this book. My favorite line from there is, I don't care that you're gone, I just hate how you left. I love that. It really struck something with me when I got to the end of that poem. So, we have an overwhelming amount of bad poetry in this section. When I was making the graph earlier, I was just like, oh my god. So our overwhelming winner this segment is the bad poetry. Meh comes in second, which I think is better than drawings being in second. There were notably less drawings in here because I think the poems got longer. So some of them took up 2 pages instead of just 1, which made me happy because at least it looks like there was a little bit more effort put into them. And we still somehow got stuck with some very bad ones that were literally 2 lines. Looking at you, Catholic. I didn't give some of the truly bad poetry that I read because I wanted to look at different poems and why they're bad, because I think everybody knows why a poem that comprises of the letter K is bad. I think everybody knows why a poem that says sad on one line and then isfied on the line below it. I think everybody knows why that's bad. So I want to take a look at kind of like just bad structure, bad words, like bad choices made in the writing of poetry, because it's all things that you can fix. It's things that you can get better at. No person is ever born being a crazy good writer unless they're a prodigy. I mean, the only reason I got good at writing is because I read a stupidly large amount of books, and my family was indulgent enough to let me write like a maniac. I have so many bad writings from like 4th grade up. Some of it's truly terrible. And I mean, then of course in college I got to take creative writing and fiction writing classes, which have helped me immensely. Honestly, I should have taken more poetry classes, but I didn't really get into poetry until my junior year of college, so like, what can a girl do? So again, I'd like to emphasize, I think Gabbie Hanna has the potential to become a good poetry writer. I'm pretty sure she writes her own lyrics. I didn't really look that up. I'm just literally reading this book. I think she writes her own lyrics. And while, again, I've seen some questionable ones. Actually, not Monster. What was the song that I had stuck in my head for a while? I can't remember. But one of the ways it ended, I was like, that's not quite right, just English-wise. So, like, for me, I can see that she can be good. Her songs have meanings behind them. She has intentions and thoughts and feelings going into the writing that she cares about. So for me, I would love to see her actually explore those things, actually write about them, make a book with a theme, with a concentrated theme. Because currently I think the biggest thing hurting Adultolescence is that it doesn't have a theme, so we just put whatever we felt like down on paper, even if it wasn't good, because it didn't have to fit in with anything. Also, I would like to say, for the future Gabbie Hanna, I know that you have Dandelion out. I will read that eventually, if people like this video enough, because I'm immensely curious, because everybody says it's worse, so I want to see if your writing actually has degraded. But one thing I would like to say is, if you are going to be writing a book that mentions suicidal feelings, depression, maybe even disordered eating, please include a warning. Amanda Lovelace does that with all of her books, and I find it wonderful. She warns you to take care of yourself. She warns you that you can take breaks and just do what you need to do. And I find that immensely thoughtful and wonderful of her. Again, I love Amanda Lovelace. I don't know what I would do if I met you in person, but it would probably involve bowing and worshipping of some kind. But yes, just for your readers, because people who are into poetry do tend to be a little bit more in tune with their emotions and their feelings, because it takes some analyzing of feelings and emotions to get into poetry a lot. So you don't want to negatively affect people who are reading your book. If you have emotionally compromised humans reading your book, you should warn them ahead of time that you do talk about heavy topics. Yes, this is supposed to be a jokey book. Yes, this is supposed to be irreverent poetry. But at the same time, you shouldn't let people walk into something without knowing that they might encounter something that will make them feel awful. Because I can tell you, I didn't feel good after reading the book. It didn't make me feel happy. And it's not only because the writing wasn't that good. Like, a lot of the book is depressing because you talk so badly about yourself. Like, it's like talking to somebody for like an hour and all they do is tell you how terrible of a person they are. Nobody feels good coming out of that. So for me, I would like to see, one, work on some self-love, feel better about yourself. Honestly, me talking about this book really isn't meant to be like, oh, Gabbie Hanna's bad. Like, I think Gabbie Hanna could be good at writing poetry if she put in some effort and, worked at it and looked at her love of it. And honestly, I think getting better at poetry can only make you better at your music as well, because you can put such intention into every line and every detail and every word, because truly good poets have such intention with the way they place their words and the way they format things that I just don't see coming from your poems yet. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that when some poems are shaped like triangles and like Amanda Lovelace's work, I feel why it's shaped like that. I don't really understand why, but I feel the shape. It speaks to me. And so, because I took a picture of it, then I forgot to upload the picture and put it in. But there's this one poem that is like this thought cloud. It's called Speak. Oh, what page is it on? Oh no. I've put the book down already. I've closed it. I think I marked it as questionable. There you go, Speak. It's on pages 112 to 113. Also, please put a page number on every single page. This is so frustrating. But it's just one giant thought bubble. And the way it's formatted, I can't tell how I'm supposed to read it. And maybe that's supposed to be, like, the fun part of the poem. And yes, now that I read it when I'm not feeling like I'm dead, I do understand how you're supposed to read it. But it's obnoxious and I hate it. The format does not make me happy. Again, I think it's clever. I think it's a clever design. To me, it's not poetry. But at the same time, I want to feel intention. This does feel intentional. I don't think it's the best choice in design. But sometimes I feel like you just put things in a line with 4 to 5 words because it takes up space. Or you put things in a paragraph because that's just how you wrote it the first time. And so I'd love to see just a little more introspection going on with the writing in general. Okay, friends, I feel like I've rambled on about my hopes for Gabbie Hanna's abilities to improve for long enough. It's probably way past when I want to go to bed. So, thanks for watching. If you're enjoying my excessively long talks about Gabbie Hanna and her writing, feel free to subscribe. Maybe I'll read more YouTuber books and critique them. If you're interested in talking about writing, reading, books, D&D, anything along those lines, I am your gal. Please subscribe. Leave a like if you like this video. Leave a comment if you have any advice for me on what I could be doing better. If you say my mic is bad, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a little bit bad for a little bit longer. But if you have programs to check out, I'm just using a free video software, nothing special. And criticism, things you'd like me to do in the future. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you had a mildly good time. And that's it. Scholastically Natalie is out.